Miguel's story. Miguel Torres grew up in East L.A., where the hum of traffic often mixed with the echo of gunshots. The streets buzzed with sirens, helicopters, and the low thud of bass from passing cars. The chaos was constant, normal, almost comforting. Raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs, Miguel spent most of his childhood alone. His father had disappeared before he was born, just a ghost in the stories people didn't want to tell. The only men around were the ones on the corners. Gang leaders, hustlers, ex-cons, and street soldiers with flashy chains and louder reputations. They had what Miguel thought he wanted: respect, power, attention. He was just 13 the first time he was approached by someone from the Black Vultures, a local gang that ruled their neighborhood. They didn't threaten him. They didn't even offer money. They just made him feel seen. "You've got heart, little homie," one of them had said, handing him a soda. That moment changed everything. To Miguel, the gang wasn't just a crew. It became his family. They had rules, a code, a sense of belonging. They celebrated loyalty like a religion. Every tattoo etched into his skin wasn't just ink. It was a vow. He believed he was building a legacy, brick by brick, bullet by bullet. But behind all the noise and bravado, Miguel had a secret. He loved to draw. Even when the world outside his door screamed violence, he'd escape into his notebook, sketching cityscapes, cartoon characters, and faces he saw in his dreams. His mom had given him that first notebook on his 12th birthday. He remembered her smile as she handed it over and how she whispered, "Use this when the world gets too loud." But in the world he lived in, art was weakness. By 16, Miguel was strapped. Carrying a gun was survival. Emotion was a liability. He watched too many friends overdose, bleed out, or vanish into sirens and handcuffs. So he buried every feeling. Deep, his mom never stopped praying. Every day she left Bible verses on the fridge. Psalm 34 verse 18 was her favorite. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Miguel rolled his eyes every time he saw it. He crumpled the notes and tossed them, but deep down, they stuck. He didn't want to admit it, but something inside him felt like it was dying. By 19, Miguel was full-time in the streets, selling drugs, running collections, and doing whatever it took to keep the lights on at home. He told himself he was providing, that it was for his mom, but the truth, he was too deep. Then came the night everything shifted. A deal had gone bad. Word got out that a rival set was looking for payback. Miguel didn't believe the rumors until he found himself ambushed in an alley. Shots rang out. Tires screeched. His chest heaved as he crouched behind a dumpster, bleeding from a graze to the shoulder. He thought he was going to die. For the first time in years, he whispered, "God, if you're real, get me out of this." He didn't expect an answer. Not a voice. Not a sign. Just silence. But something shifted. Weeks later, he got picked up, possession and firearms charges. They slammed the cell door, and he thought, this is it, end of the line. He was sentenced, locked up, another number. At first, Miguel kept to himself. Same hard exterior, same scowl, same shadows. Then one day, a man named Pastor James walked into his block. Pastor James wasn't flashy. He wore worn sneakers, carried a faded Bible, and had a kind of peace Miguel hadn't seen before. Every week, he came back. Same time, same voice. One afternoon, he slipped Miguel a folded note. On it was Psalm 34, verse 18. Miguel froze. That same verse. The one his mom always left. "God's not done with you," Pastor James said softly. Miguel laughed it off. "I've done too much. Hurt too many people." But the pastor didn't stop coming. Week after week, he showed up, sometimes just sitting in silence. Other times telling stories of men who'd changed, who'd found grace. Then came the verse that broke him, John 10, verse 10. "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life, and have it to the full." Miguel read it again. And again, that verse hit like a bullet to the soul. He realized the life he was living wasn't living at all. The gang stole his dreams, his childhood, his peace. Even his art had died somewhere along the way. He started to pray, not polished prayers, just honesty. "God, I don't know how to do this, but I'm tired." He joined a Bible study. At first, he sat in the back, head down, silent, but slowly something opened. He started drawing again. Not just cityscapes this time, but crosses, doves, and portraits of Jesus with tear-streaked cheeks. His notebook transformed into a journal of grace. One sketch at a time, Miguel began to heal. During one worship night, the prison choir sang a song about forgiveness. The words pierced through everything he'd built to protect himself. He broke down. Years of buried pain poured out. He whispered, "Jesus, I'm yours." That night didn't erase the past, but it rewrote the future. His heart felt light, free. Even behind bars, Miguel felt more alive than ever before. Letters to his mom became regular. He apologized for the years of silence, the heartbreak. When she visited, her eyes filled with tears. "I never stopped praying," she said. "You were never lost, just wandering." He knew she was right. Over time, Miguel became a leader, not with fist or fear, but with truth and compassion. He helped run Bible studies, mentored younger inmates, even taught a few how to sketch. His art was no longer a secret. It was his ministry. He'd draw scriptures, illustrate sermons, and compose handwritten devotionals with portraits to match. His drawings made their way to bulletin boards, family letters, and even a few local churches through Pastor James. But something else stirred. It started during one of the chapel services when a guest brought in a guitar. As they sang, Miguel began humming. Then one day, he opened his mouth and sang. Quietly at first, then louder. Pastor James noticed. "You ever thought about music?" he asked. Miguel shrugged. "I don't know, man. I just like the way it feels." Pastor James handed him a cheap keyboard. "I think you've got something to say." Miguel began to write. Lyrics poured out, stories in the streets, prayers from the cell, memories he couldn't erase, and verses that gave him hope. He didn't know much about rhythm or melody, but the words came naturally. Songs like Chain Breaker, Streetlight Mercy, and Forgive Me, Father became regulars at their prison worship nights. Inmates would weep, guards would listen. Something holy was happening. He wasn't just drawing anymore. He was declaring. By early 2025, Miguel's sentence ended. He walked out a free man. No fanfare, just peace. He didn't go back to his old block. Instead, he walked straight to Pastor James's church. Behind the building, in a small outdoor pool, he was baptized. As he came up from the water, he felt it, the weight of the gang, the shame, the lies, the identity the streets gave him, gone. He was Miguel Torres again. No gang names, no aliases, just the name his mother gave him. He moved back to East LA, but this time with a mission. He visited schools, community centers, youth programs. He told kids the truth. You were made for more than this. But something kept tugging at him, music. He started uploading his songs online. Rough cuts recorded with borrowed gear. But the messages were raw and real. People began to listen. His track, Concrete Confession, went viral on a Christian hip-hop blog. Soon after, a small indie gospel label reached out. They weren't after perfection. They wanted a story. Miguel signed. He dropped his debut EP, From Cell to Sanctuary. It wasn't polished, but it was powerful. Every lyric told a piece of his journey. Churches invited him to share his testimony. Youth camps asked him to speak. Radio hosts featured his songs and called him a voice for the voiceless. Through it all, Miguel never forgot where he came from or who saved him. His mother now sits front row at his concerts, tears in her eyes, Bible in hand. Sometimes, before he performs, she whispers Psalm 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Miguel smiles. He knows it's true. Temptation still whispers. Nightmares still visit. But Miguel clings to John 10, verse 10. The gang gave me a name, but Jesus gave me a purpose. And now, he sings that purpose into the world.